If you have been spending an hour or more in the gym, every session cycling through 15 different exercises, and your body is not changing the way you want it to, then this video is going to simplify everything you think you know about exercise selection, because the uncomfortable truth that the fitness industry never wants you to fully understand is that maximum muscle growth does not come from exercise variety. It does not come from hitting every angle with 17 different machines. And it does not come from the most creative or complicated movements you can find on social media. It comes from a small collection of specific exercises that satisfy 3 simultaneous criteria that the research on hypertrophy has identified as the most powerful drivers of muscle growth. And once you understand what those criteria are and which exercises meet all 3 of them at once, you will never again waste a set on a movement that doesn't deserve a place in your program. The 3 criteria that make an exercise maximally effective for muscle growth are these. First, it must load the target muscle at a long muscle length, in the stretched position, because research from 2021 through 2023 by Mayo, Casiano, Pedrosa, and colleagues published in peer-reviewed journals has now confirmed with remarkable consistency that stretch-mediated hypertrophy, the muscle growth driven by mechanical tension at long muscle lengths, produces 40 to 60% greater hypertrophic adaptation compared to training at shortened positions with equal load and volume. Second, it must allow for systematic progressive overload over time, meaning you can add load or reps in a measurable and trackable way, session to session. And third, it must recruit the maximum possible number of motor units across the target muscle, which means it either loads a large muscle group through a compound movement pattern, or it isolates a specific muscle with such biomechanical precision that a high percentage of that muscle's fibers are under meaningful tension simultaneously. And the exercises that meet all 3 of these criteria simultaneously are not the ones filling most people's programs, which is exactly why most people's programs are not producing the results the effort deserves. For your legs, the exercise that most completely satisfies all 3 criteria is the full depth squat. Specifically, a squat taken to a depth where your hip crease passes below your knee, because at this depth, the quadriceps, particularly the vastus lateralis and rectus femoris, are under maximum mechanical tension in a fully lengthened position. The glutes are maximally stretched at the bottom, and the hamstrings are loaded through a significant range, meaning a single exercise is simultaneously providing stretch-mediated hypertrophic stimulus to the 3 largest muscle groups in the human body. And a study comparing partial squats to full-depth squats found that full depth produced significantly greater quadricep and glute hypertrophy over a 10-week training period, even though partial squats allowed subjects to use substantially more weight, directly confirming that load at long muscle length beats heavier load at shortened positions for muscle building purposes. The Romanian deadlift is the second leg exercise that belongs in every program built for maximum growth, because it loads the hamstrings and glutes maximally in their lengthened position. The stretch on the hamstring at the bottom of a Romanian deadlift, performed with a hip hinge and neutral spine, is arguably the most powerful single exercise hypertrophic stimulus available for the posterior chain. And research on hamstring training, comparing leg curls to hip hinge movements, consistently shows that exercises loading the hamstring at longer lengths, like the Romanian deadlift and the Nordic curl, produce dramatically greater hamstring hypertrophy than leg curls performed with the hip flexed, which shortens the hamstring and reduces the stretch-mediated stimulus significantly. For your upper body, the incline dumbbell press performed at 30 to 45 degrees with a full range of motion that allows the dumbbells to travel below the level of the chest at the bottom, satisfies all three criteria for the pectoral muscle. It loads the clavicular head of the pec maximally. It allows the muscle to reach a genuinely stretched position at the bottom that the barbell version cannot match because the bar hits your chest before full stretch is achieved, and it allows systematic progressive overload through dumbbell weight increases and the research on incline versus flat pressing for upper chest development combined with the stretch-mediated hypertrophy literature makes the full range incline dumbbell press arguably the single most effective chest exercise for complete pectoral development. The overhead tricep extension, specifically performed with a cable or easy bar behind the head, is the most important tricep exercise in existence for one specific anatomical reason. The long head of the triceps, which is the largest of the three heads and the one most responsible for the overall size and horseshoe shape of the arm, is biarticular, meaning it crosses both the elbow and the shoulder joint, and it only reaches its fully stretched position when the arm is raised overhead, making the overhead extension the only common tricep exercise that loads the long head at a long muscle length, and therefore the only one that fully activates the stretch-mediated hypertrophic stimulus in the largest portion of the tricep. For biceps, the incline dumbbell curl, performed on a bench set to 45 to 60 degrees, is the most effective bicep exercise because the incline position places the shoulder in extension, which stretches the long head of the bicep across both the elbow and shoulder joints simultaneously, creating a degree of bicep lengthening that standing curls or preacher curls cannot match. And research comparing incline curls to standard curls found significantly greater long head hypertrophy in the incline group, confirming that the stretched position advantage applies to the bicep with the same force it applies to every other muscle in the body. For shoulders, the lateral raise performed with cables rather than dumbbells is the superior choice for lateral deltoid development because cables maintain constant tension on the lateral deltoid throughout the entire range of motion, including at the bottom where the muscle is in its lengthened position, while dumbbells provide minimal tension at the bottom where the weight hangs directly below the shoulder and gravity creates almost no torque at the joint. The cable lateral raise therefore loads the lateral deltoid at a longer muscle length with continuous tension compared to the dumbbell version. And for a muscle that cannot be effectively loaded through compound movements and must be isolated to be trained, the quality of isolation and the length at which it is loaded becomes the most important variable in exercise selection. The truth about maximum muscle growth is that it does not require more exercises. It requires better ones, specifically chosen because they load the target muscle at its longest possible length, allow progressive overload to be applied systematically over months and years, and recruit the maximum available motor units in the target muscle, and the 6 movements described in this video: full depth squat, Romanian deadlift, incline dumbbell press, overhead tricep extension, incline dumbbell curl, and cable lateral raise, cover the entire body with the highest hypertrophic efficiency available in the research literature. And if you built your entire training program around these 6 movements with systematic progressive overload and full range of motion on every rep, you would build more muscle in the next year than most people build in 3 years of cycling through the endless variety of exercises that feel productive, but fail every criterion that the science identifies as actually necessary for maximum growth.